Sindhu Vyevacha. Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha. Yeah, we did celebrate his appearance day on 3 weeks ago. Yeah, we'll just touch it for a few. Yeah, that's true. I mean, within 3 weeks. So today is the disappearance day of Lochan Das Thakur, the author of the Chaitanya Mangal. And this Chaitanya Mangal was taken from Murari Gupta's Kadacha, which is his diary. So what we'll do, we should chant the prayers of the departed Vaishnavas. And we'll probably go on to Bhagavatam class too, but let's see what happens. Jaya Nila Premadana Korana Prachur Hey no Prabhu Kota Gela Jaya Thakur Kahabora Sarupa Rupa Kaha Sanatan Kahadasahura Gunatha Patita Pavakan Kahamora Bhatta Yuga Kaha Kaviras Ekakane Kutta Gela Gora Nataras Pashane Kutibo Mata Anale Pashibo Guranga Gunera Nete Kota Gile Babo Se sapa sangira sanke ye koilo bilagas. Se sangana paya kande narotamo das. Yehanila prema jana koruna prachur. Jayom Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravidikacharya also Teta Satashi Shimad. His Divine Grace Abhaya Chalanana Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Hridas Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasri Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shaya Mukunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavanam Ki Jai Maturadam Ki Jai Jagannath Swami Ki Jai Murmai Ki Jai Shrimati Lassi Devi Ki Jai Samveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bom. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vastai Guru Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauranga Navasesha Shunya Fadi Paschacha Dejatarni. So, translation, he who brought the treasure of divine love and who was filled with compassion and mercy. Where is such a personality as Srinivasacharya gone? Where are my Swarup Damodar and Rupa Goswami? Where is Sanatan? Where is Raghunath Das, the savior of the fallen? Where are my Raghunath Bhatta and Gopal Bhatta? And where is Krishna's Kaviraj? Where did Lord Gauranga, the great dancer, suddenly go? I will smash my head against the rock and enter into the fire. Where will I find Lord Gauranga, the reservoir of all wonderful qualities? Being unable to obtain the association of Lord Gauranga, accompanied by all of these devotees in whose association he performed his pastimes, Narottama Das simply weeps. So, as I mentioned, today is the commemoration of the disappearance day of Lochan Das Thakur, the great author of the Chaitanya Mangal. And I just wanted to read one poem of his. It's called Shri Shri Gora Nityanandera Doya, which is on page 57 of the songbook. And I'm not going to read the Bengali, but last time I chanted it. The two lords, Nitai, Gora, Chandra, Lord Nitai, and Lord Chaitanya, are very merciful. They are the essence of all incarnations, and their specific significance is that prosecuting their way of self-realization is simply joyful, for they introduce chanting and dancing. Actually, Prabhupada loved this particular song. And I mentioned that when Prabhupada chanted this song, both in Atlanta, Georgia, and in Caracas, Venezuela. Oh, sorry. Thank you. So when Prabhupada chanted this song, both in Caracas, Venezuela, and Atlanta, Georgia, Prabhupada went into trance. Because there, both temples actually, their main deities were Shri Shri Gaur Nitai. At that time in Atlanta, Georgia, they did not have Radha Krishna. And in Caracas, Venezuela, they didn't have Radha Krishna either. So Prabhupada looked and I remember the first time I met Prabhupada. Prabhupada looked at the picture of the punch tub we had on the altar and said, basically, Lord Chaitanya has come to this far-out place. And I was thinking, far-out place? This is the center of the universe, America. But Prabhupada was thinking about the difference between the spiritual realm, Mayapur, Vrindavan, and just a little college town. So Prabhupada had similar response in Atlanta and Caracas. And so he saw the deities and he said, Lord Chaitanya is very compassionate. And then he started to chant Parama Karuna Bhojavijanam Dittai Gaurachan. The two lords, they're the most merciful. And then Prabhupada went into trance. And the devotees didn't know what to do. And eventually, after a few minutes, the devotees started chanting kirtan. And they asked Prabhupada, what should we do if that happens again? And Prabhupada just very apologetically, in a very humble way, said it does not happen very often. So, of course, that's what we call a vyabhachari bhav. Vyabhachari bhav means intermittent, unpredictable, uncontrollable ecstasies. There's 33 of them. Sometimes they're called sanchari bhavs. Sanchari means it moves throughout the body and takes over your whole consciousness. So, of course, we have the second verse of the Guru Vastika we chant every morning, right? Mahaprabhu Kirtana Richaki Devati Tramadyan Manaso Raseta. That whenever the spiritual master, the pure devotee, hears the kirtan of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he feels quivering in his body, hairs stand on end, ashru tarangabhaja, the tears come from his eyes like torrents of rain. And certainly, those of us who are with Prabhupada were able to perceive this. I mean, Prabhupada generally kept this hidden from us. But I remember sometimes just being really close to Prabhupada and in back of Prabhupada. That was one of my favorite spots. Just to actually stand in back of Prabhupada as he was giving class. And there's a picture of me standing back of Prabhupada when he was chanting. So the reason I didn't want to be in front of Prabhupada is that Prabhupada would look at you and you think, oh my God, he sees all the sins I have, my consciousness. Many devotees have that particular experience, isn't it? That Prabhupada would look and say, oh my God. You look at Prabhupada and Prabhupada would look at you. So I thought, in back is safer. But then I would see, basically, Prabhupada's eyes were welling up with tears constantly, especially when Prabhupada was chanting Jai Radhamadava. He was into it. Like when we chant Jai Radhamadava, it's a song we chant. So, but when Prabhupada chanted, he was connected. The question was raised. One devotee asked me the question last night, how can you be connected? Well, Prabhupada was very connected to the meaning, the mood, the consciousness of these particular poems. Jai Radhamadava, Kunji Bihari, which is, of course, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's poem. And Prabhupada would often comment on that poem. So Prabhupada loved this particular poem by Lochan Das Thakur. And as I said, he went into ecstasy. And Prabhupada would often say, Kevalananda Kanda. He would quote that last line in this particular stanza, which means it's only blissful. Kevalananda Kanda, Bhaja Bhaja Bhai Chaitanya Nitai. Next one is, of course, my dear brother, I request that you just worship Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda with firm conviction and faith. That's also really important. Sudrida. Like we have this word in the Bhagavad Gita, what drida vrata, isn't it? If you ever say Atmaka Buddhir Eke Hakunandana. So if one is one-pointed, one has this drida vrata, that means the vow of firm determination. Sudrida means good determination. And the Vishvasha, of course, means faith. Firm conviction and faith. And that faith is described by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami as Shraddha Shabde Visha Sakahe Sudridanishya. Faith means that if we simply do what Krishna wants, everything will be accomplished. That's his definition of faith. Faith doesn't mean the same thing as belief. Belief means that you believe something exists, but you may not believe that you follow the instructions will lead you to success. So, Vishvasha Kori, firm conviction and faith. I request that you just worship Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda with firm conviction and faith, which means Sankirtan. If one gives up sense gratification to be Krishna conscious by this process, Vishaya Charya Sevrasa Imajya, if one gives it, so what is the process of worshiping? So that's in reference. This is really interesting. So, Vishaya Charya Sevrasa Imajya. So the process is having firm conviction and faith in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, worshiping Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. And then their process is one simply has to chant what? Hare Krishna, Hari, without any sense-gratifying motive. That's a hard one, isn't it? How do you do that? Well, you try to engage other people in chanting, Sankirtan, right? Because sometimes when we're chanting for ourselves, then we have all these motives, isn't it? Like we chant, oh, please, Krishna, cure this disease or that disease. Krishna, make, my business successful, or whatever. Or Krishna, free me from this pain, or Krishna, make me Krishna conscious. But when we're actually engaged in Sankirtan, preaching Krishna consciousness and like Harinam Sankirtan and everything like that, then that's actually for the benefit of others. So automatically, in that particular case, you have to become free of ulterior motives or sense gratifying motives, unless you're really deeply immersed in ignorance, in which case you're just trying to win friends and followers. So, next one. My dear brother, you just try and examine this. Within the three worlds, there is no one but Lord Chaitanya or Lord Nityananda, because their merciful qualities are so great that they make even birds and beasts cry. What to speak of human beings? Even stone will melt at the chanting. Such a beautiful poem. My dear mind, you are entrapped in sense gratification, and you have no attraction for chanting Hare Krishna. Since you have no attraction for the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, what can I say? I can simply think of my misfortune. So you have Lochan Das Thakur exhibiting his great humility here, the Sambandha, Abhideyam, Prayojana. All are exhibited in this particular poem. It's actually an amazing poem Prabhupada really loved. So as far as Lochan Das Thakur, a few words. I'm not going to tell the whole biography. His guru was Narahari Saraka Thakur, and he was extremely detached from this material world. There's a famous story about Lochan Das Thakur that even though he was married, in the beginning, he never went to see his wife. And so his guru, his wife's family, consulted with Narahari Saraka Thakur and said to the guru, that your disciple is not being responsible. He should go home and be with his wife. So he basically, I guess outside of the marriage day, he never saw his wife. So then he went to his wife's village, and he had forgotten where his wife's house was. It's such an interesting story. Can you imagine that? And so he sees this young girl, and he's asking for directions. And naturally, Chanaka Pandit says, you see other ladies other than your wife as mother. So he goes to this young girl and says, Mataji, can you please tell me where this particular house is, where this particular person lives? And this girl said, I'm that girl and I'm your wife. So from that day forward, because he addressed her as Mataji, he accepted her as worshipable, like, not as his mother, but as a worshipable lady. Interesting, isn't it? And so that was his relationship with his wife. Not exactly conjugal. So, anyway, there's other stories about him, which, actually, we should go on to Bhagavatam. So, that was the main one. And, yeah, the Murari Guptas. Just one, actually, one interesting story from the Chaitanya Mangal that is just so interesting. It's a story I always tell. It's about the importance of Mahaprasadam. So this is an interesting story. Narada Muni wanted to get Mahaprasadam. This is, I guess, before Mahaprasadam was available to everybody. So Narada Muni wanted to get Mahaprasadam, and he thought the only way he can get Mahaprasadam, at that time there were no Hare Krishna temples to go to. And Purva wasn't cooking at that time. So the only way I can get Mahaprasadam is if I get it from Lord Vishnu after Lord Vishnu eats. But the only person who controls that Mahaprasadam is Lakshmi. So he thought, if I can butter up Lakshmi, that means please her, then I can get Mahaprasadam. So it's described for so many years, actually, in the Chaitanya Mangal that he was serving Lakshmi. And Lakshmi, after some time, was pleased and said, what do you want? Please ask for benediction. And he said, I want some of the Mahaprasadam. And so she said, I'm not allowed to give it. And so she had a dilemma there. She had promised Narada Muni she would give him whatever he wanted, and she promised Lord Vishnu she wouldn't give out any of the Mahaprasadam, the Prasadam remnants. And so she went to Lord Vishnu, and Lord Vishnu said, what's the problem? And she explained, and Lord Vishnu said, just do it, on the side when no one's looking. Just make believe I'm not looking either. So anyway, so that time, I guess there wasn't too much Mahaprasadam going around. So then what happened is that she did it. She gave it to Narada Muni. He ate the Mahaprasadam, started dancing in ecstasy. And who happened to come along but Lord Shiva? And he saw Narada Muni dancing. He said, what are you doing, brother? Because they're both brothers. And he said, I got Mahaprasadam. And he said, Lord Shiva said, did you save any for me? I'm your brother. And he said, well, there isn't anything left over. I ate everything on my plate. And so Narada Muni looks at his fingernails, and under one of his fingernails was the little speck of Mahaprasadam. He gives it to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is in complete ecstasy, so much ecstasy that the universe is threatened with destruction because everything is starting to tilt. He's dancing his Tandava Nritya, which is the dance at the time of the devastation. So everything's starting to tilt, and then Parvati, the mother of creation, she gets very upset. She stops Lord Shiva and says, please stop, Pati Dev. And he gets upset with her. He says, why did you stop it? And she says, but why were you dancing? You were going to destroy the whole universe. And he says, I got Mahaprasadam. And then she says, did you save any for me? And he says, no, you're in Maya. You're the material energy. Mahaprasadam is just for us, Vaishnavas. Actually, Lord Chaitanya's movement, we give prasadam out to everybody, the dogs, the animals, everybody gets Mahaprasadam. And Prabhupada said that anyone who gets prasadam, they will get at least a human birth in the next life. I remember when I was in Gurukul taking care of children, and we would take the children to the duck ponds every Saturday and pass out. This is in Dallas before we had the new temple. This was in Turtles Creek, where the old temple was. And we had 5 little boys. And we'd take them, we'd feed them prasadam remnants over from the temple, feed the ducks. And Prabhupada said when he heard this that the ducks would become human beings in the next life. Maybe some of you were those ducks. Anyway, I don't know. So anyway, there's great power in Mahaprasadam. Great power in Mahaprasadam. And so, anyway, so she said, what do you mean I can't have any prasadam? And then she said, I am going to do austerities and worship Lord Vishnu until he agrees to give me Mahaprasadam and Mahaprasadam to all my children, that's us, in the material world. So by the mercy of Parvati, Durga, we now have Mahaprasadam. Pretty nice. So that story is in the Chaitanya Mangal. And then, there's other stories about Narada Muni. I just remember these beginning stories because they're so nectarian. That Narada Muni goes to Lord Vishnu. He's all concerned about us in Kali Yuga. And Lord Vishnu says, I'm going to come down. Actually goes to Krishna and Dwarka, sorry. And Krishna says, I'm going to come down as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he manifests the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Rukmini is all upset. What about me? And so she gets an opportunity to come down. And then Narada Muni goes and informs all the demigods and all the other devotees to take birth in the earth planet to prepare for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's advent. So these are some of the stories from the Chaitanya Mangal. So now, I guess we can go to the Bhagavatam. Oh my God. So, we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto. Right? 30. Okay, yeah, got it. All right. I mean, these are just narrations, and there's not too much to say. 10:49:30. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shishuko Vacha Iti Abhipracha Ripater Abhiprayam Sa Yadava Suridbhi Samanujyata Punar Yadu Purim Agat Shri Shukuvacha Ijabi Prachanripater Abhiprayam Sayadava Suridbhi Samanugyata Punaryadu Purim Agat Shri Shukuvacha Ichavi Prachanripater Abhiprayam Sayadava Suridbhi Samanugyata Punaryadu Purim Agat Shri Shukuvacha Ichavi Prachanripater Abhiprayam Sayadava Suridbhi Samanugyata Punaryadu Purim Agat. Okay. Okay. Sri Shukovacha, Shukadeva Goswami said, Iti, thus, Abhipracha, ascertaining, Ripate, of the king, Abhiprayam, the mentality, Sa, he, Yadava, Akrura, the descendant of King Yadu, Suridbi, by his well-wishers, Samanugata, given permission to leave, Puna, again, Yadupurim, to the city of the Yadu dynasty. Agat, went. Translation. Shukadeva Goswami said, having thus apprised himself of the king's attitude, Akrura, the descendant of Yadu, took permission from his well-wishing friends, relatives and friends, and returned to the capital of the Yadavas. So, repeat, please. Shukadeva Goswami said, having thus apprised himself of the king's attitude, Akrura, the descendant of Yadu, took permission from his well-wishing relatives and friends and returned to the capital of the Yadavas. So there is no purport commentary by the followers of Srila Prabhupada, so I'll just read Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, and of course the Jiva Goswamis after that. Knowing the intention of Dhritarashtra, Priyam, who would not give up partiality to his own sons, Akrura returned to Mathura. And Jiva Goswami says, understanding that the king would not give up his prejudice, he returned to Mathura. As a king, Dhritarashtra feared that if Yudhisthira became king by his showing equality, that is, by Dhritarashtra's showing equality, his reign would be finished. He took permission from the Pandavas and left. So, again the verse, Shri Shukovacha Abhipracha Aripater Abhiprayam Sayadava Suridbi Samanu Nata Punar Yadu Purim Agat. So Om Gana Timidanda Shah Gananjana Shlakaya Chakshur Vidikam Geta Tuzmai Shikadveda Maha. So this particular verse, or at least the understanding of this verse, reminds me of a very interesting verse spoken by Prahlad Maharaj, showing the futility of trying to preach to people who are too much attached. And of course, in the Bhagavad Gita also says, the resolute determination for devotional service does not appear in someone who is attached to material enjoyment. And of course, Bhogeshvarya Prasaktanam Pataya Pritachetasam Vyavasayatmaka Samadhu Dhyate. That for those who are attached to Bhoga, Bhoga means enjoyment, opulent life, which is certainly Dhritarashtra here. Prasaktanam. Prasakta means very attached, extremely attached. So anyway, so the verse of the spoken by Prahlad Maharaj is Matir na Krishna, famous verse. Paratos vatova vato vadyeta graha vratanam adanda gopir vishatam tamishram punak purnas charvita charvatanam. Actually, I'm sure everybody knows that. Almost everybody knows that verse. Matir na Krishna. If one is not going to accept Krishna or Krishna's direction, this is Krishna being presented here to Dhritarashtra. We may think, oh, Krishna is only that nice guy on the altar. But Krishna is also what? His holy name. people say, again, this whole thing about connection and disconnection. So Krishna is his holy name, his devotees, his instructions, kirtan, isn't it? And, everything connected with Krishna. In fact, that famous verse, Aradhanam Sarveshanam Vishnu Aradhanam Param Tasmat Parataram Devi Twadinam Samarchanam, which is usually translated as that better than worship of Vishnu, topmost worship of Vishnu, topmost worship is worship of Vishnu, and better than that is worshiping Vishnu's devotees. But really, that verse says things related to Vishnu. The direct translation is, things connected with Vishnu or things connected with Krishna. Like, we worship Prabhupada, and, and we understand that we can't, according to the Adi Purana, that Krishna says, one who says he's my devotee is not my devotee, but one who says he is devotee is my devotee. So it's connected to Krishna. And we worship the paraphernalia. Sometimes you take the deity clothes that are no longer used, and you dress up your little children in those deity clothes, or we eat prasadam, right? These are all things connected to Krishna. And of course, these things should stimulate our love for Krishna. Whenever we see the temple, see the chakra. For example, even Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami would not enter the temple of Lord Jagannath. And Prabhupada describes in this regard, but just by looking at the chakra or the flag on top of the temple, you get the same benefit. It's interesting. Same benefit. Devotees complain, I got to go see Lord Jagannath. Why won't let me in? Be a little humble like Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. So just by any of these things, or seeing prasadam, this should make us exact. Shuddha Bhakata Karcharna Renu. This is a poem by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Whenever I come in contact with these things, they cause me ecstasy. So anyway, getting back to the point here, which we don't have much time to talk about, that he is rejecting Krishna directly. Bhatirana Krishna Padatosvatova. That one who is rejecting Krishna, in spite of having good association, good instruction, it's not going to do any good. Bhatirana Krishna Padatosvatova. Because he's attached here. Grahavratanam is specifically connected to this particular situation with Dhritarashtra. He's attached to his hearth in his home and his children, especially to nice little baby Duryodhana. He's attached to him and is attached to his position as being king, which is just illusory anyway, because Krishna's going to take it away from you in any case. Even if you're the king, then you have to die. It's like you see so many people, so many of these moguls in India, killed their family members, like Aurangzeb, isn't it? Killed family members, imprisoned parents, just so they could be the king or the emperor for some period of time. So he's very attached. Grahavratanam. Adantago Pir Tamishram. That because he has uncontrolled sense of Tamishram, Purnak Purna. So he enters into ignorance, or enters into hell after he dies. So this is the point about Dhritarashtra. And then again, the famous part of the verse, Purnak Purnas Charvita Charvananam. So again and again, he does the same thing, chewing the already chewed. So we see that this is not the only incident that he's gotten good instruction or come in contact with Krishna through his instructions, or even come in contact with Krishna directly. For example, before the battle of Kurukshetra, Krishna himself tried to make peace, right? He thought, if I don't try to make peace, people are going to blame me for being responsible for this war. So he goes as the peacemaker in front of Dhritarashtra. Of course, Duryodhana is there, and Bhishma is there, and the others. But he goes and he presents this peace proposal, which is not only fair, but he's bending over backwards to make peace, right? He says basically that if we just have 5 villages for each of the Pandavas, we'll be happy. We're not going to fight a war. And Duryodhana, he says, we're not going to give as much land as can fit on the head of a pin. Famous quote. And Dhritarashtra, he hears this. He backs up his son. But what's really the kicker in this particular story is that when Duryodhana tries to capture Krishna, Krishna manifests what? His universal form. I mean, that's really pretty convincing. You know, someone comes to me and says, you better do this. And I say, well, I'm hesitant. And they manifest how they're in charge of the whole universe, everything's, you know, all this stuff like that. I'm saying, okay, uncle, you know, uncle, like they twist your arm behind your back. I mean, that's so obvious. And even in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, Dharma Kshetra, Kurukshetra, Samavetasi Vyutsavaha. Isn't it? The first verse in Bhagavad Gita. Mamaka Pandavaschaiva Kimakurvacha Sanjana. It's a verse. It's obvious from the first verse, you know, if he has any brains. So he's getting all this information from Krishna. Actually, it's interesting that first verse in the Bhagavad Gita was not spoken by Krishna. Spoken by Dhritarashtra. Quite interesting, isn't it? So he knows, but he's so attached, so he's always going to be engaged in this chewing the already chewed. So here, Akrura realizes this guy is hopeless. Really, that's what's being talked about in this verse, isn't it? This guy is hopeless. I'm not going to waste time with this guy because even the universal form won't convince him. So let me get out of here. You know, reluctantly he leaves and he goes to inform Krishna and Balaram, which is going to be the next verse here. So we have 1 minute left for class. Any questions or comments? Yes. You talking about Duryodhana or Dhritarashtra? Yeah. Well, I mean, as far as Duryodhana, he was actually Kali, so that was his service, I guess. No, I mean they didn't see the writing in front of their eyes. I mean, even if you're not interested in Krishna consciousness, if someone shows you the universal form, you're going to, unless you're completely stupid, you're going to conform, isn't it? I'm God. Okay, I don't believe you. Here's the universal form. No, thanks. Yeah, he thought it was a trick, but, you know, obviously Dhritarashtra knew better.
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Enam Kanvantam Aravindanalaya Taksham Bharhavat paramdam. Kandar ako ikamaniya vishesha shobha. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham bhajami. Angani yasa sakalem Priya priti manti Vasyanti panti kayanti Chiram naganti Ananda chinmaya sadhu Jala vigrahasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham bhajami.
Tamaham bhajami. Namaham Vishnu Padaya. Namaham Vishnu Padaya. Krishna Padaya. Mudale. Shimate Bhaktivedanta Savaniti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Guramani Machar Neke Nivesesha Chanya Bhakti Shachade Sacharane. Stay Saraswati Devi Guramani Machar Nivesesha Bhakti Shachade Sacharane. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaurabhakta Vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Jaya. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaurabhakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ramanityanando Siadwaita Ganana Sivasade Noraktavinda Krishna Chaitanya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ramanityanando Siadwaita Gadada Sivasade Noraktavinda Krishna Chaitanya Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha, Goloka Nana Nana, Goloka Nana Radhe. Jaya Radha, Goloka Nana Nana, Goloka Nana Radhe. Jaya Radha, hey, Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe. Jaya Radhe, hey, Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Sri Radhe, Jai Om Vishnu Pad, Namamsa, Victoria, Satashi, Shimad, Abhaya Chandana,
Bhava Mahadavaki Vijavanu Jivanam Anandam